One, I'm Devon, brought to you by Mo Boombox. We have our Mo Muse. Actually, happy Women's History Month too. I want to mention that. I'm here with a former athlete, club director for Spike City, DC, volleyball travel team, Janée Hayes. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Great, great. So for the people that don't know, can you start off by telling us like where you from?
Well, I'm originally from Washington, D.C. Grew up in Ward 5, actually attended Bunker Hill Elementary School. So you don't see many native Washingtonians that actually live in D.C. anymore. I went to Sidwell Friends High School and middle school, and then proceeded to play both volleyball and basketball for Duke University.
Oh wow! So, what was it like growing up, in DC, being a standout athlete and things like that?
Well, oddly enough, I didn't start sports until I got to Sidwell. I was about 13 years old. In elementary school, I was a dancer. I danced at Jones Table School of Ballet, and I did piano. So I was not an athlete, although my build indicated the complete opposite. But initially, the volleyball coach at Sidwell said that I was left-handed, I was big and athletic, and maybe I should start looking into club volleyball because that was a foreign language to me. I had no exposure. I didn't know what that meant. And I went to a club tryout, and then the rest is history. So when I became good at two sports, it was exciting for me, just because I never thought of myself as an athlete. From age 6 to probably about 15, I really thought that I was going to be a professional tap dancer. I really thought I was going to be a dancer.
Was you nice?
At tap dancing?
Yeah. Could you still tap dance or?
Yeah, I can still tap.
Okay.
I mean, I think I'm still pretty good. But it's a different arena being an athlete. Simply because, when you dance, there's an anxiety that comes along with being on stage and having your lights on you. But as an athlete, you have somebody that's coming for your spot or coming for your neck, especially if you have a name, every single time you step on the court. So there's not really a time that you can take a game off or a play off, because then you hear, oh, well, she's really that good. Well, yeah. But I'm willing to prove it every single day, day in and day out.
So in the Washington, DC, Maryland area, the sport is basketball. You say you used to hoop too, but volleyball, would you say volleyball was more your calling card, or were you just?
I think I started volleyball earlier. Because I really wasn't interested in basketball, oddly enough. Mm-hmm. Back then, volleyball was too manly of a sport for me. I just didn't like the aesthetics of it. And then when I started playing, I was like, wait, this is actually more my calling because I'm aggressive.
Right.
And, I like physicality, I like contact, everything that volleyball was not. The only contact I could get was hitting through a volleyball. So I think once I gravitated to basketball, I grew in the sport very quickly. So everyone always asked me which sport did I prefer, which sport was I better at. Honestly, towards the latter years, depending on the day of the week.
Okay, Blue Devil. So, what was it like being a multi-sport student athlete, having to play Division I, 2 sports at one of the top, I want to say sports programs in the country?
Right. It's demanding. Mm-hmm. The things that I always impart to student athletes now is that understand that it is a job. Whereas in high school, it was fun. There wasn't a lot riding on it. Typically, you could kind of enjoy the space and enjoy the people and enjoy the experiences. College athletics is a job. And if you go in there understanding that, you are ahead of the curve. See, I went in there thinking, everything's fun, this is cool.
Right.
And then there were quite a few challenges. But then you get used to it, and you get accustomed to it, and you understand that to whom much is given, much is expected. Mm-hmm. And you deliver, or you go home.
Okay. So when you was through being a student athlete, you got into journalism, being a sports analyst. Talk to us about that. How'd you get into doing that? And some of your experiences too.
I don't know how I got into that. I know that for my major in college, I had to have an internship. I ended up interning at a radio a radio sports talk show.
Okay. What was the show called, you mind me asking?
What was it called? It wasn't In the Night Sports, but it was hosted by Coach Butch McAdams at WOL.
Okay.
And he's actually he was a coach at the Murray School for years. And so he had his own sports talk show. So I was interning there. And then I had the opportunity to kind of do maybe 2 on-air interviews. So I had that in my back pocket for years, just the experience. So how I thought one day was a great idea that, oh no, I could go into sports journalism and interview. I can't even tell you where that transition in my mind came from.
Right.
But then I reached back out to those resources and ended up getting connected back to Coach McAdams, and then he connected me with a man named Andrew Dyer who had the ground ball report, and I started mentoring under Christy Winter Scott and people of that nature to kind of start learning how to hone that craft.
Okay. That's what's up. So now you're into coaching, you're a club director of a travel team. What inspired you and what made you say, okay, I want to give back to the youth and give game and start coaching?
I don't necessarily know that I initially wanted to start coaching, but I was broached with the opportunity, I think when I was about 25. And at that time, I was kind of in between everything. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I was good at it. Not that I necessarily loved it, to be honest, but I was really good at it. And so with that, and when I say good, I don't mean that's predicated on wins and losses. I mean, I'm seeing results from my players. So as I continued to see those results, I became more and more inspired to say, wow, what other impact can I have? How many other people, adults, kids can I positively impact? Because I do remember my experience as an athlete, as a volleyball player and a